Hey, good morning everyone. So I was just sitting here doing a reading and I thought I would pull out some of my decks of oracle cards to show you all. And for anyone that's looking to buy some new ones and kind of like, which one should I get? Or if you're very new at working with oracle cards and you're just wondering which ones are good or which ones to buy, or kind of just some key elements to look at when you're getting ready to purchase them, I was going to go over all of that with you. I work with both tarot and oracle. I personally prefer oracle cards for many reasons, but I'll go into that a little bit later. So for the purpose of this video, I'm not going to go into my tarot cards, even though I have a couple of decks here. We're just going to stick to the oracle cards. Most of the decks that you see here are by Doreen Virtue, and all of her decks or cards are extremely beautifully illustrated. I have two decks up here by John Holland. Again, another amazing deck of cards, and I actually really like those, and I'll tell you guys why in a minute. And then I have another deck by Colette Barron, and I'm gonna get into these three different decks to kind of give you just a little pointers. Now, for me, every one of these decks of cards, I have to say I did not choose them, but they chose me. What do I mean by that? Well, when I went into the metaphysical store to purchase my card decks, I didn't go in with the intentions of, I'm going to go in and I want this Ascendant Masters deck, or I want this particular deck here. I just went in with the open mind that, hey, I want some new cards, and, let me see what I come home with. Each deck has a different feel and a different energy, and I was very drawn to each deck that I purchased at that time. One of the first ones that I bought were, sorry, I'm trying to hold my phone and do this, the Magical Messages from the Fairies. These are a very sweet deck of cards, but the reason why I love oracle cards is you get very straightforward, clear answers. So whether you're doing a reading for yourself or you're doing a reading for someone else, you get very straightforward answers and very accurate. I have given accurate readings with all of these cards. However, once you get to learn your different decks, you will know that some cards are better for answering some questions versus others, and I'll explain that to you. But first, so for example, if someone came to me and was like, I have a question, I'm thinking about moving out of state and I just want to know if this is a good decision or not. And I pulled, perfect timing. This is the right time for you to move forward and new home. I could confidently say to that person, and I can even show them, because that's what it says, yes, this is a great time. Go ahead and make that move. Okay, now with tarot, I will still come to the same answer, but it may be a little bit different. So if they ask me that question and I threw these three cards down, and this is just an example, I'm not interpreting what they mean, but they got the Queen of Wands and the Ten of Wands and then the Knight of Swords. Well, okay, is that a yes or is that a no? So then you have to go into interpreting what each card mean, what the symbol, what is it symbolizing here to come to the answer. Again, you will still get the same correct answer from both systems, but one is a little more intricate versus the other. Now, with these type of oracle cards, you have a direct answer and you have a brief interpretation of the card itself. The book does give you a further interpretation, but if you're, just wanting to do a quick reading, or if you're sitting in front of someone, you may not want to have to run to the book to interpret a card all the time. Plus, if you are trying or thinking about reading for other people professionally, and unless they know that you're still learning or something like that, you don't want to sit there and you're thumbing through the book and you're trying to find the answer. You may just want something that gives you clear explanation. That's the same with this one. This is the Magical Mermaids and Dolphins deck. This is an absolutely just beautiful deck. The graphics, the colors, the energy feels very light and fluffy and positive. All of the pictures of the mermaids, they are beautiful. I mean, this is a gorgeous deck of cards. So, that's one type of oracle. Now we have, let me just move these off the way before they fall over. Okay. Now we have the Ascendant Masters deck. Again, another one by Doreen Virtue. Exquisite artwork. Okay. Now the difference in this one and the one I just showed you, again, still very straightforward answers, but there's no interpretation at the bottom of what this card means. So this is where you have to go into your intuitive side a little bit more. If you're reading for yourself, of course, you can refer to the book, but if you're reading for someone else, you may have to tune in a little bit more intuitively. So again, if someone asked me the same question, hey, I want to move out of state, is this a good decision? And I pulled out these two cards, well, what does that tell them? You know, and then I have to go into interpreting. Meditate may mean you need to take some time to think about the decision a little bit more, but then I'll pull out the power of joy, and that interpretation may be you will be very happy with the move. Just an example. Or I pull out the card write. Well, write what? Write out my options. You know, that doesn't give you very much information, so you got to go in intuitively, and or you've got to throw out a few more cards to get a bigger picture. I love this one of Krishna. Gorgeous. Now, it's interesting too. I did a reading a couple days ago, and one of my clients works with Archangel Michael. I mean, his energy is all over him. She's been giving him offerings. She has an altar set up to him. She has his statues around the house. And I mean, his energy is everywhere. And we were doing her reading. Now, I just grabbed this deck off my shelf. I didn't plan to grab it. I didn't thumb through and say, well, let me do this because she works with Archangel Michael. None of that. And this actual card was one of the cards that came up in her reading. And I didn't even notice it until I was on the phone with her because I haven't used these. I sort of forgot. I said to her, well, you know, it's not a coincidence that I happened to grab the Archangel Michael deck to do the reading. And that goes back into when you start learning your different card decks, you will know which deck is better suited to answer what questions. This is the Enchanted Map Oracle card deck. These are very different. They do give you specific answers. You can also read them. You can look at the picture, Sad Embrace. It looks like a, well, I don't know if it's a woman, but maybe we're going to say it's a woman who looks very sad. And then you have Wishing Well. These have very different energy on them in comparison to these light, fluffy cards. The energy is very different, a little bit more intense. Will challenge your intuitive side a bit much. Some of these cards are very easily to explain. Heal the Ouch, which would represent, you know, healing, versus Sacred Pool. Well, Sacred Pool, you look at that and be like, well, what is sacred? What does that mean? So you've got to kind of go within and really figure out depending on the nature of the reading. All right, let's see. A few more decks that I have here. The Goddess Guidance Oracle card deck. Now these I bought specifically when I was at the store. I saw them, and I did that because I wanted to find out what would be the best goddess to work with, or also when I do a lot of spell work, especially love spells, I like to add tarot cards to my altar setup. And if there's a specific goddess that I am calling upon, like Aphrodite or Oshun or Isis, I can put the card of that goddess that I am trying to call upon to aid on the altar. And it's not just, one of you may, beautiful. It's not just for love spells. I mean, it could be for any spells, but these particular cards are the ones that I primarily use for that. And these have many, many different goddesses. I also used these cards one time to pick what goddess would be best for me to work with. And I had already been working with Oshun for a very long time. And I swear I shuffled this deck like 3 times and her card kept coming out. I'm trying to find it so I can show you guys, but if I can't find it, okay, I'm not gonna. Anyway, or she might have been in my other deck, but anyway, so that's another way to use the cards. These are absolutely beautiful. But my favorites that I'm using right now are these John Holland cards. This is the Psychic Tarot, and this is the Psychic Tarot for the Heart. This is a relationship based oracle / tarot deck of cards, and that's because all of the meanings for each one of these cards are pertaining to relationships. So if someone wanted a relationship reading specifically, whether it's romantic, relationships with family members or work or whatever, then I go to this deck. I've done a lot of general readings with this deck as well, and it's been very accurate, but the purpose of these cards are specifically for relationships. The ones that I normally use for clients are the Psychic Tarot. So these are oracle cards that are read like tarot cards. And not to confuse anyone, if you're familiar with tarot, then you'll understand. But basically, each card in here, let me see if I can pull out just a couple to briefly explain to you. So these cards are color coordinated. What I mean by that is the borders, the black ones, the blue ones, the red ones. So the black cards would represent your major arcanas. The blue cards would represent the suit of wands. The red card would represent the suit of pentacles. So when I'm doing a reading, these have very somewhat straightforward answers. But like this card, Authority, represents the magician in the tarot. The Temptation card, this one I believe is associated with the devil. And then it also has chakra cards, which is, I really like these because I find that depending on the nature of whatever the question is, the chakra that correlates to that area of the person's life will always show up in the reading. So the green ones represent the suit of cups and emotions. So this is a good deck also if you haven't learned tarot yet and you may want to learn tarot but you're still working with oracle cards. This can kind of help prep you for working with tarot, maybe. But if you do know tarot, then you know you can apply what you know from tarot working with these cards as well. These are beautiful cards, and the reason why I like these is because they're for general readings. When I get ready to do a reading with a client, I don't know right off the bat what it is they're coming to me for, if it's a specific thing going on, or if they say, hey, I just want a general reading, and we'll just throw the cards and kind of see whatever comes up. So you can really tap into every area of your life, work, family, fun, home, all of that can be covered with this deck of cards. Now, that can be covered with any of these decks, but I would just say for a general overall reading, this is a very highly recommended, excellent deck to work with. And I really love these cards, so you should, you might want to consider getting those. All right, well, that's my video. I hope that that's pretty clear, but here's a couple of different options if you're trying to buy a new deck or you're trying to figure out which ones to get. Here are the ones that I work with, so if you have any questions about them, go ahead and leave a message, any comments. If you have any of these decks and you've used them, what was your experience with them and would you recommend them to someone else? All right, you guys, I love you. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you all later.